Which NBA team has the best bigs and which team has the worst? It's Position Group Preview Week on Locked On NBA. Plus, a 5-time All-Star calls it quits. Is he a Hall of Famer? I'll ask Matt and Hayes that and more today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season, it's around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories every day with the help of Locked On's local experts. And I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast. He's a senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt, the NBA and NBC have announced that they are doing something called Coast to Coast, and the late games are starting at 11 p.m. How are you going to stay awake? Well, you're on the West Coast, so you might not have too much of a problem with it. Close to the West. And you're muted.
I'm on Mountain Time, so it's not a big deal to me. It's 9 versus an 8:30 start for a lot of these games. This is what life is like. It's just like, this is where we're at now. And I do think it's tough if you are an NBA fan on the East Coast. It sucks that you're probably going to have to miss out on some of these games if you have anything resembling a life. But you'll sleep when you're dead. Be like us. You'll sleep when you're dead. Just watch the games.
From the Locked On Bulls podcast, he's also a Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report. Hayes is not as lucky to live on Mountain Time, are you, Hayes?
I'm not. I'm on Eastern Time. But the thing that I saw is that this, if I'm not mistaken, these are on Tuesdays, right? Because I host game night on Friday. So all I can think when I saw this is, thank God this is not going to happen on Fridays.
Just thinking it's going to happen to someone else. Yes, Tuesdays, I think it's going to be 19 games that will officially start at 11 p.m., but we know how that goes. It's probably going to be closer to 11:30. This week, we are going to look at the best teams and worst teams at each position group, bigs, wings, and points. Matt, you and your co-host on Locked On Nuggets, Ryan Blackburn, helped spur this segment when you discussed if the Nuggets addition of Jonas Valančiūnas gave Denver the best set of centers in the league. Let's hear a portion of that, starring Ryan Blackburn.
Are Nikola Jokic and Jonas Valančiūnas the best center duo in the NBA today? I think it's a fair question. And when you think about Jokic as the best center, and then you think about Jonas as a longtime starter who's now transitioned into a backup role, when I think of a positional group, I think of, you're going to get 48 really solid minutes from that group. And it just has been such a detriment to Denver over the course of these past few years that as Jokic has been so great, the absence of him has been felt even larger, to the point where now you see somebody like Valančiūnas come in and you feel very good about the center rotation. I will say a team like Houston does have some credit there because they've got an all-star, a borderline all-star in Şengün, and then you've got Steven Adams and Clint Capella behind him. That to me is one of those where that might be volume over quality, but still like really good quality.
All right, let's see what Matt and Hayes think. We are zooming out a little bit and not just talking about centers here. We're going to do bigs, so you can include some fours in there as well. Matt, who do you think in the NBA has the best big rotation, top to bottom?
I'm actually, I gave the Nuggets the edge when I was on Locked On Nuggets. I will say that if we're going to do bigs, right? Like centers is one thing for Denver, but bigs, I'm actually going to give it to the Minnesota Timberwolves. You got Rudy Gobert, still the best rim protector in the league. You got Julius Randle, 2-time All-NBA player, had a stellar playoff run, consistent production. You've got Naz Reid, able to come off the sixth man of the year, comes off the bench, spreads the floor. That's 3 extremely good big men on top of whatever other options they're able to come up with as far as bench options and various guys. So to me, I'm going to give the edge actually to the Minnesota Timberwolves because they've got 3 starting players that are available at those positions.
Yeah, and that's probably the route that I would go. I wouldn't go through this list since you filled yours out first. I wanted to make sure we pick different teams. For me, for the best, I went the Thunder, and I think I love what the Thunder's rotation is with Chet, Isaiah Hartenstein. I also look at the addition of bringing in Thomas Sorber to that, and I know he's a rookie who's going to have to come up to speed and things like that. But I think when you look at the things Sorber excels at that he can do right away in the NBA is rim protect. Somebody who can sneeze and get 2 blocks per game. He's really a good job at doing that, and also rebound. So I think just looking at those 3 now, the Thunder typically play small. They'll play players out of position. Aaron Wiggins played a lot of 4 last year for that team. But I think either way, the Thunder still have a really nice big rotation there that they can throw a lot of different looks and a lot of different combinations at you. That's why I picked the Thunder.
The Rockets mentioned in that clip as well. Matt, do you consider them to have, is it just center there with Şengün and Adams, or when you look at their big rotation as well, throw Jabari Smith in there, throw Tari Eason in there, do you think that they should be considered for one of the best big rotations in the league?
I think, yeah, I mean, Eason definitely, I think, probably puts them in that conversation. Şengün, I think, is a little overrated at this point, but is still like very good. Adams and Şengün, that 2-man combination was really great for them last year. We'll see if that continues this year. And Capella's still very viable. So I think that 4-man group is still really strong. But it's also kind of a question of like, what are they great at? Like, what are they elite at outside of offensive rebounding? And I don't really have an answer to that amongst that core group. So I think they're very, very good and it's solid and it's great depth, but I wouldn't necessarily put them at the top.
Hayes, what are some other teams that you considered as you accumulated your list here?
I wanted to put the Cavs on there. Like I started to try to make a case for the Cavs, but really it just comes down to just the 2. Like, not to say they have a bad big rotation overall, but I think it's very top heavy with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, it's an elite duo there that they have there. But that's one that I definitely started to make the case for before I settled on the Thunder.
That's Dean Wade slander, Matt. Are you going to let that go?
I don't need to defend Dean Wade. His resume speaks for itself.
Funny enough, so don't opposing teams.
Got me. Got him.
I'd throw the Grizzlies in there in the discussion. Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach Edey, they've got some things to figure out. Brandon Clark was a little bit banged up last year, but they'll get him back. And then the Mavericks as well. I mean, I think you've got Anthony Davis there. You've got Derek Lively, Danny Gafford, PJ Washington. Well, with Cooper Flagg's addition, will probably slide back to one of his more natural places at the 4. So yeah, they've got a lot of depth there in Dallas. I would definitely put them into consideration as well. Let us know what you think on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA. Let's move on to the worst big rotations in the NBA. Who is seriously lacking in the center and forward department? Hayes, your thoughts?
Pacers. I think that's the easy one here. Like the Pacers, they're so depleted up front now. Like, they have some functional bigs, but that's it. Functional. Like we may be into the world where Tony Bradley may have to play some serious rotational minutes for them. And I've seen him be literally picked up as a grown man by Steven Adams and carried off the court. So yeah, I think the Pacers were an easy one to pick there.
I'm mad because this should have been my default answer, because they added James Wiseman, and any team that adds James Wiseman is in absolute disaster mode. Like, the results of every team after they add James Wiseman I feel bad for the kid, but it's almost just like he is that guy in Master and Commander who they all think is cursed. That's James Wiseman. Hope he comes back from the injury this season, but it's rough. I love Moussa Diabate. And I like Mason Plumlee, covered him a lot, but Doug, I got to give it to the Hornets. I mean, you traded Nick Richards and Mark Williams. Moussa's numbers were really good last year, but it's like half a season of that. And then Mason, I got to go here with the Charlotte Hornets.
Okay, to be fair, the Hornets won 19 games last season, and the Phoenix Suns seem addicted to wanting to trade for players on that team. And yep. I think when a team that is poorly run is desiring certain players, that says something. It says something about what's happening there. I would not disagree with you. We talked about it today on Locked On Hornets. I think Moussa Diabate, like you, Matt, I'm excited about him, but he has limitations. And I think, definitely they're not prioritizing the center position, which maybe isn't all that surprising because Charles Lee is their head coach and he comes over from Boston. And, Boston has never prioritized that position in terms of finding elite two-way play at that position. It's interesting to see what they do moving on.
I have a weird one. So I understand Embiid. I get it. But with Embiid's injury situation, you're talking about Drummond in year 13. Dembona, who I know Hayes likes. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of it.
Pretty guard
they don't have a big rotation. They lost Yabu. So the Sixers, when you factor in the Embiid injury stuff, kind of might wind up on this list a little bit, even with Drummond, because Drummond is up there in age.
All right, moving on, we are going to continue to do these positional previews throughout the week. We'll do wings, we'll do point. Let us know what you think on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA. We'll get to some news and notes from around the league, including a 5-time All-Star calling it quits, retiring. John Wall, is he a Hall of Famer? We'll ask that question. Plus, can Anthony Davis turn in an MVP year and vault the Dallas Mavericks into the finals? Locked On Mavericks seems to think he can. We'll hear from them on the other side. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. August 26th, mark your calendars. It is officially FanDuel Futures Day. It's a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP or you're eyeing a long shot division winner or you're just ready to go ahead and crown your Super Bowl champion before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. So take a flyer on the MVP race. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'll be taking a flyer on Jaden Daniels because he's my fantasy quarterback, and I want to try to manifest greatness for my fantasy team. So that's my move. What's your move? Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now because Futures Day, it's one day and one day only. August 26th. FanDuel, play your game. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. We are one of the most listened to podcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network, and we thank you for that. We're now on a mission to become the most watched show on the network. So if you've been listening for a long time, please support the show by subscribing on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA. You won't find the Dallas Mavericks on many, if any, list of finals contenders this upcoming season, despite adding ready-made rookie Cooper Flagg to a squad with plenty of veteran talent. Locked On Mavericks is unsurprisingly not ruling out a finals run by the Mavericks, but it won't be Cooper Flagg or a Kyrie Irving return that will make the difference. It's going to be Anthony Davis.
It all starts with him. We did our Locked On Top 100 that's going to come out in a couple weeks, and I have him as a top 10 player. I think he could get higher than that because there's a couple of players I had above him that I was like, well, there are scenarios where I think he's better than a Victor Wembanyama, a Anthony Edwards, somebody, a Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if I had Mitchell ahead of him, but somebody like that is usually in those ranges, in those lists. He could be better than those guys because he brings it on both ends. He averaged 27 or 26 points a game last year for the Lakers. He was 12 rebounds, 3.5 assists. He upped his assists with the Mavericks, and he was averaging 4 assists per game there. He can put on the deck. He can score. He can defend and be one of the best defenders in the NBA for sure. And I think that it all hinges on how good he can be and how healthy he can be, honestly.
Matt, can you close your eyes and envision Anthony Davis playing 60, 65-plus games at an MVP level and the Mavs suddenly in the hunt for a top seed in the Western Conference playoffs?
I can't imagine Anthony Davis playing 3 straight at that level. He's going to dominate when he plays these little bitty teams that are bad, and then he's going to have another game. The Lakers fans started to catch on to this late. Like, why is it that AD doesn't – he's not there every night. It's awesome that he destroys the Memphis Grizzlies and Jaren Jackson, who he owns in that matchup. But then the next night, 15 and 8, cool. What happened? What happened to him? He's not there consistently. This guy has never, ever been the best player on a championship level team. He has barely been the best player on a playoff team. He has never been that. He's now going to have to do that. It's all on him now. No more LeBron to cover for you. It's got to be on you. I do not believe it's going to happen. The jump shot's just not there. He had one incredible run in 2020 in an empty arena where he knocked down jumpers. Other than that, incredible defender, a little overrated, but incredible defender. But he is probably, in my opinion, Hayes, the most overrated player in the NBA today.
Here's the thing. Like, I love Nick. Nick, stop being so thirsty. Like, I get it. You had an MVP caliber player there for years, and you won another. You in the year that Dallas gave up Luka, you got Page and you got Cooper in the same year. Don't hit me with no Anthony Davis MVP propaganda. What are we doing here? Come on, Nick. Like, no, like. Could it happen? Yes, in 2K. And 2K is about to come out. Maybe Nick's going to run his 2K. He's going to get the Mavericks the title with Anthony Davis having an MVP caliber season. But in life, no. Like, I get it that Anthony Davis is a supremely talented player, all the jokes aside. And he is a two-way player when he's locked in and ready to go. Again, take all that. But, like, typically big men who aren't able to stay healthy don't all of a sudden stay healthy. We don't even know if Anthony Davis is going to play enough games to even qualify for a postseason award, much less be able to play at that level consistently enough to get there. No, this is not something that I agree with. I don't think that is going to happen. I don't think it's realistic of happening. Sure, anything is possible, but it's not. It's just not going to happen there in Dallas. And I think you're not going to be bad. Thank God they're not going to be a terrible team this year, but let's not try to sell us on Anthony Davis MVP propaganda. Let's not do that in the year of our Lord 2026.
It's not unrealistic to imagine him playing MVP level basketball. I mean, early last season, we were having those discussions on this show. It's just that it's unrealistic to expect him to maintain it such that you could lift a team without Kyrie Irving into those kinds of conversations. I agree. Hayes, do you agree most overrated player in the NBA right now? Or
no, I don't think he's the most overrated player in the NBA. I think Anthony Davis to me is appropriately rated by most reasonable people. I think I would say
he's a top 75 player according to the NBA. Does he feel like a top 75 guy to you? When
he's on the court, yes. I will say that when he's on the court, yes.
Like, he's got to be spoon fed. Right? Can't create his own offense. Can you give him the ball and be like, go get a bucket? Or does he have to get fed that ball from a point guard?
I mean, yeah, but then you're giving him the ball and saying, go get a bucket after the point guard feeds it to you.
Right.
So, yeah.
But it's a dunk.
No, I know what you mean. I'm being disingenuous, but no, create his own shot in that way. No, not consistently.
No. Is he dominant rebounder?
Dominant? No, when I say dominant, he's a good rebounder.
No. Awesome defender. If I actually dig in and show you clips and numbers, I can show you it's actually not what you think it is. Okay. Not a great shooter, not hyper versatile. What is it that Anthony Davis is elite at?
Doing a lot of things really, really well.
So he's Jason Tatum.
To a lesser extent.
So he's Jason Tatum, who's not as consistent. Because Tatum had a season where he was averaging 30 a night.
Yeah, Tatum is one of the most consistent players in the NBA, but yeah, he's not nearly as consistent. And I would say this: he doesn't have that dog. I know that's not something you can quantify, but he doesn't have that mentality of Jason Tatum either.
You're absolutely right. Like, Tatum had a season where he averaged 30. Tatum's been the best player on a championship team. If you tell me in the comments, make the argument. Don't just say I'm crazy. Give me the argument for what it is that Anthony Davis is truly elite at. You can say, like, defense. Okay, what? Rim protection? Because that doesn't really bear out in the numbers either.
But I think what Hayes is saying is that most people, maybe outside of then Los Angeles, now Dallas, outside of those locations, most people have a realistic view of what Anthony Davis is and what he isn't. I don't think Hayes is disagreeing with any of your tenets.
Yeah, but I feel like, I mean, look, I've still got him in the top 15. I try really hard not to discount him because of the, like, my problem is the way we talk about him versus that separation. It's interesting that you guys don't think that he is overrated, because when I hear him talked about, it is in the way that Nick talks about him, which is like, he's a top 10 player. He could be an MVP. He's maybe the best defender in the league, all these types of things. And, like, if you dig in, I'm telling you, I've done the work. I've done the homework. It's not there.
Really quickly, before we move on, besides Anthony Davis, is there a player that you can realistically see this season having a bounce back year or a career year that would thrust a team currently outside of finals contention suddenly into contention? Is there a name that pops up in your head, Matt?
Are we already considering the Timberwolves as in final contention?
I wouldn't necessarily consider that.
Okay, so mine would be Anthony Edwards. I think that he has the opportunity to do that this season.
So you think it would be a bounce back, even though he had such a great shooting season?
That's what.
I kind of agree.
Or just a career, year,
really
just upping his level. Well, let's say Anthony Edwards gets into the MVP discussion. That suddenly makes them a finals contender.
For sure.
I jokingly asked Doug when he brought this topic up if LeBron James counts, because if LeBron James has a career year, then I think the Lakers are going to be in a pretty good spot there. How about this one, Ja Morant? What if Ja gets back to being who he was 3 years ago? And if that happens, that team was a number 2 seed in the Western Conference. They were awesome. You go, oh, no Desmond Bane. Jalen Wells is really good. Zach Edey is something. And Joe Millinax certainly thinks he's awesome. So just look out. If Ja does get back, Grizzlies are going to make way more noise in the West than people are expecting.
Now, is that a Ja who dunks or a Ja who doesn't dunk? Like he can't seem to figure out which one of those Ja's he wants to be.
I think it's a Ja that dunks in spurts, right? Like not every time, but when he does it, that's Ja dunking. It's that evolution of him as a veteran player.
Spurtability. It's the best ability.
Spurtability.
All right, coming up, I teased it, so we will talk about it. John Wall retiring officially from the NBA. Is he a Hall of Famer? Plus, we get to our tournament of moves to decide the NBA's best signature move of all time. We are in the second round. We've got a couple of 2 seeds to talk about, including Michael Jordan's post fadeaway up against Jamal Crawford's shake and bake. We've got Magic's no-look pass. We've got Tim Duncan's bank shot. It's a fun one. Stick around. Locked On NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every single day. Let's get to a few news and notes from around the league. John Wall officially announced his retirement from basketball today. Wall last played in 2023 for the Los Angeles Clippers. He was the 2010 first overall pick by the Washington Wizards. He also played for the Rockets. Wall was a 5-time NBA All-Star and was named to the All-NBA third team in 2017 and the NBA All-Defensive second team in 2015. He also won the NBA Slam Dunk Contest in 2014. Hayes, is John Wall a Hall of Famer in your mind?
Man, so John Wall has had great accomplishments, like knowing this was on it, seeing that he even was like on the all defensive second team. Like, and I think it's important, like the basketball Hall of Fame, right? So it's not just the NBA Hall of Fame, but when I look at the accolades, he'll probably get in eventually, but it's going to be a long while to get before he gets in into the Hall of Fame. I don't have him as a Hall of Famer as it stands right now. Amazing career, and he was able to do some great things over his career, but I don't necessarily have him as a Hall of Famer.
I don't have him as a Hall of Famer either. I don't think you can look at some of the guys that have helped teams win and then have Wall in. And it sucks because I think John could have been an all-time legend, not only if not for the injuries, but also just like if he'd been drafted literally anywhere else. I just think the Wizards wasted his team so much. Like John was one of the fastest, most explosive players that you will ever have seen on a basketball court. And they had him walking the ball up and dragging the clock out until 13 seconds. The coaching under Randy Whitman was so abysmal. His college team, that 2010 Wildcats team, man, Darius Miller, DeMarcus Cousins, Wall, Bledsoe, DeAndre Liggins, Daniel Orton, there's a name, and Patrick Patterson. That team was great. There's almost enough there based off of his overall contributions in college, international, pro to get him there, but I can't quite get there. John Wall is going to be an all-time what if for me.
Yeah, he was an SEC All-Freshman, SEC Tournament MVP, All-SEC. He won most of those SEC awards that year at Kentucky as well. Basketball Reference currently puts his odds at around 33% of making the Hall of Fame, so not totally out of the question. Let us know what you think on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA. You certainly let us know what you think about our tourney of moves. A lot of you voted for the second round matchups. We move on to the 2 seeds. Magic's no-look pass versus the 7 seed Tim Duncan and his bank shot. The YouTube vote is in. This one of the closer ones that we've had so far, 59% to 41% in favor of Magic Johnson's no-look pass. Matt, what say you? Set this matchup up for us and tell us who you would like to move on to the next round.
Okay, look, I kind of made this argument the other day when we talked about the Magic no-look, but I'm going to make it again. If you go back and you look, pull up the clips and actually watch those no-look pass highlight compilations, what you're going to see a lot of is Magic intentionally looking off towards nowhere. It is not a misdirect. You're not fooling the defense. He's just doing it to make it look like he's not looking, but he knows where the guy is and there's nobody in front of him. Like some of these are transition passes where he's running to the corner out of bounds and then looks into the crowd and dishes away. That's not a useful no-look pass. There's nothing functional about that. It's unnecessary flash, the history of the Los Angeles Lakers. So as much as it's an iconic pass from an iconic passer, I don't know if it's the best one. He's got some in there that were absolutely amazing. It's not all of them like that. But I'm going to make this case. Duncan's bank shot was the absolute definition of sound basketball by the Big Fundamental. I mean, it is the most sound shot you can take. It is a high efficiency shot from a low efficiency position. It absolutely roasted guys because they could not handle it when he faced up. He was so big, they had to prepare for him to lower that shoulder and get into them. And so they had to load up, which allowed him to be able to take that shot. He could knock it down contested, and he did it over and over and over again. Duncan, that shot is what defines a player who is so fundamentally great at everything. He did not need all of the flash and substance of all of these other guys in order to be amazing. Duncan's bank shot clears here.
All right, Hayes, you got the tiebreaker. What do you think?
Yeah, this is the ultimate test of flash over substance. Not to say that it was always just flash for Magic Johnson's no look, but a lot of it was. And Duncan's bank shot is the ultimate substance. Like there's nothing but value in that shot going in, not only from a demoralizing standpoint from teams that have just played really good defense on Tim Duncan and still wind up in that possession ends in Duncan making that bank shot. I didn't expect it to come to this, but Tim Duncan's bank shot is going through to me.
Let's go!
Almost, because it's just much more like when you talk about winning basketball and the things that matter in basketball. Not to say again that Magic was all flash, but I'm sorry, just that one move, not Magic. Magic definitely not overall is all flash, but the bank shot is it's better. So I'll give it to the bank shot.
I'm going to defend both of these moves from critiques that I just heard. First of all, that Tim Duncan's bank shot was all substance is ridiculous. He would clap his hands behind his back every time he did it. There was no reason for it. There was no advantage.
That was the
given.
Aftermath of the shot, though.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's flash. Yeah. I mean, it was Tim Duncan's version of flash. It was very Spursian flash, but it was flash. And then on Magic's no look, yes, he would look out of bounds to no one sometimes, but at other times he was looking to the corner. And I think it was just a force of habit at that point. In transition, like if he did it in half-court situations, it was because there was somebody situated in the corner that he was looking to look off the defender, and in transition, he just kind of kept it going. But I will say, in basically arguing with myself, that one of Magic's best passes ever wasn't a no-look pass. It was when he was sitting down and he passes it between someone's legs to Kurt Rambis, who he was looking directly at. So, yeah.
The argument for best passer of all time is Magic Johnson, and to me it's Magic Johnson versus LeBron versus Nikola Jokic. Like that, to me, is the argument about best passer of all time. Sorry to John Stockton, but your bounce pass to Karl Malone doesn't count. That's the argument. And I have all the respect in the world for Magic's passing ability. I just think if we're talking about signature moves, Duncan's was in the best term fundamentally better than Magic's no look.
Okay, where do you have a landing point for best passer of all time? Just curious. Have you settled in?
I really think it might be Jokic. I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, and I don't want to be biased because I watch him 82 games every year. But the stuff he's done, I have never seen anyone do. And it goes from the no look whip passes from the post up position to his touch passes, like instantaneous catch and toss. Like the stuff he does is absurd, and they're always on target. It's always perfectly on target. It's not just like getting downhill in transition. Like, he's a big man. You see him coming, and yet you never see his passes coming. I still hold out for Magic right now because I have such respect for that era. But God, Yoke is making a really strong case for it, I think.
All right, speaking of respect for eras, the vote was no contest between MJ's post fadeaway, the 2 seed, up against Jamal Crawford's excellent shake and bake move, one of the big upsets of the first round, the 10 seed, moving on, unfortunately, facing MJ here. YouTube vote is in 84-16 in favor of Michael Jordan's fadeaway shot. Hayes, just your comments on Michael Jordan's post fadeaway as it continues to march through this tournament.
You know what's funny enough? So I went and looked at this. First of all, MJ's post fadeaway shot's going through. No question about it. It's the better shot. It is what it is. But out of all the 2 seeds and all the 1 seeds, Jamal Crawford's shake and bake would have beat half of them. The only 2 moves that I would have put over that is the post fadeaway and the skyhook. It would have beat everything else as far as 2
Dream Shake beats the Dream Shake? The shake and bake beats the Dream Shake?
No, it doesn't beat the Dream Shake either. I forgot Dream Shake was a 1 seed. But like, so it would have went through. But the Jordan post fadeaway, come on now. It's just iconic. Like, it's just so much swagger to it. It was just, and first of all, I'm a Bulls fan too. So I'm going to be a little bit jaded by it, but I think the fans are voting with me on this one. The post fadeaway is an amazing shot.
I wish we had the numbers, right? I don't need him to know how great it was, because every single time he shot that thing, I felt like it was going in. Every time. I do wish we had the numbers just to be able to know what his conversion rate was on him. It's got to be the Jordan fadeaway. It is probably, like, if we redid the logo, it would be the Jordan fadeaway. I think it would have to be the Jordan fadeaway. So I will go ahead and go with that. I will ask this question. Hayes, what do you think is a tougher move? That post fadeaway, because he made it look so effortless, or the shake and bake, because it is such that's a complicated dribble maneuver.
Probably the more difficult, the shake and bake.
Yeah.
I think people can imitate. They can't do it at the same effectiveness as Jordan, but I think people can imitate Jordan's post fadeaway. I don't think many people can imitate the shake and bake, to be honest with you.
I agree.
I'm curious. We have a bracket full. MJ's bracket is full of fadeaway shots. And if we get an MJ fadeaway versus a Kobe fadeaway, if we get one of these other fadeaway shots, are we going to have a beauty contest and really like put them side by side and say which one of these fadeaway shots looked the prettiest? Because all of them are going to be super effective. So that's going to be really interesting as we continue on. All right, stay with us. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including YouTube. We'll do more positional breakdowns. We're going to do more tournament of moves as the week goes on. Thanks to Matt and Hayes for their expertise every day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen. Until next time, be kind to each other, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow for more Locked On NBA.